Welcome to Asset Management at the Town of Oakville. Our hope is that through a series of educational videos and in-class education, we will broaden your asset management knowledge as well as show you how asset management has been incorporated at the town today. The first thing we should look at is why. Why at the Town of Oakville should we incorporate good asset management principles? The Town of Oakville is being challenged to make the best possible decisions for its resources for both today's users and future generations. Planning for infrastructure renewal, growth, and new demand, as well as increasing service expectations, risk exposure, and financial challenges can put elected officials and staff in challenging positions. Asset management can help. Asset management will allow the town to create a culture that will facilitate the development of a set of planned actions, enabling assets to provide the desired levels of service in a sustainable way, while managing risk and always at the lowest life cycle costs. The next video, provided by the Federation of Municipalities, will walk you through My Town. This will give you an overview on why we should invest in good asset management practices.
Hi, I'm Lisa, the mayor of my town. The role of my council is to ensure that residents are provided with services that are essential to our quality of life, like clean drinking water and sanitation, transportation, parks and recreation services. Our community's infrastructure assets are critical to deliver these services. Today, like in many Canadian communities, 1/3 of my town's assets are in poor condition, in part because most of our assets were built in the 50s and 60s and are reaching the end of their useful life. At the same time, our community has grown, and so has the demand for new and improved services. We've also had to spend money to upgrade our assets to comply with new environmental and safety standards. We made investment decisions based on our ability to finance the upfront development costs. However, the bigger ongoing costs to operate, maintain, and eventually replace these assets were not fully built into the analysis. Plus, our assets are vulnerable. Climate change has resulted in impacts from more severe storms, flooding, and other unexpected events. Our assets were not designed with these impacts in mind. For example, one of our roads was washed out during last spring's flood, and we had to reprioritize and redirect money in response. Now we're caught in a cycle where new infrastructure is needed to service growth that has been sprawling beyond the core. Residents count on us to deliver exceptional services. We need to catch up on overdue maintenance of existing assets and to finance the replacements of our old ones. We strive to keep taxes and fees low. However, the revenue we collect to manage all this isn't keeping pace with it all. So my council has been faced with some tough decisions. Do we adjust tax rates? Do we delay maintenance and repairs even longer and risk the consequences? How much should we place annually in a reserve fund? Do we reduce the level of services? Do we delay new projects? So what are we doing? We're engaging in asset management planning to be more strategic about how we manage our assets and spending. We're reviewing our assets across all departments in a holistic and integrated way. We're evaluating the full life cycle costs of different capital assets and land use decisions to ensure we're choosing the best long-term option for the community. To become more resilient to a changing climate, we're developing a climate adaptation plan and starting to identify how we can become less dependent on fossil fuels. We now recognize the value of the services our natural assets provide, like managing stormwater and improving water quality. We're also speaking to residents about the cost of service delivery and their needs and priorities. All this work is helping us to coordinate our infrastructure work and set priorities. Now we have an ongoing process in place that is proactive and allows us now to make better informed and strategic decisions. We're now much better placed to support my town's economy and our residents' quality of life sustainably. The health of our assets is central to achieving these goals. Do some of my town's challenges seem familiar to you?
Let's take a second to review some key points that we've learned so far. Why do you think at the Town of Oakville do you want to practice good asset management principles? What should be taken into account when planning an asset replacement? Now we have a better understanding on why we should invest in asset management. Let's look at the principles that make up the asset management system. Understanding what asset management is begins with an understanding of the word asset. In this context, in its broadest sense, an asset is anything that directly or indirectly provides a service to the residents of the Town of Oakville. Now we have an understanding of what an asset is. Let's look at the different types of assets we have around the town. Assets are typically grouped under many classes or networks. Under the road network, we have assets that include transit shelters, signals, streetlights, and bridges. Under the land improvement network, we have assets that include sports fields and courts, parking lots, and multi-use trails and walkways. And under the environmental network, we have assets that includes catch basins, maintenance holes, and storm mains. Now that you've reviewed several different asset types, let's see what you've learned. Select all items below that would be considered an asset. And again, select all items below that you would consider an asset here at the Town of Oakville. Asset management is an integrated and holistic approach involving all organizational departments to effectively manage existing and new assets to deliver services to customers. This intent is to maximize benefits, reduce risk, and provide defined levels of service to our community that is sustainable and optimally balanced. Good asset management practices are fundamental to achieve sustainable communities. From a practical perspective, asset management is based on a set of fundamentals. These fundamentals include value. Assets exist to provide value to the organization and stakeholders. Alignment. Asset management translates the organization's objectives into technical and financial decisions, plans, and activities. Leadership. Leadership and workplace culture supports achieving plans and goals. Assurance. Asset management gives assurance that assets will fulfill the required purpose. Did you know here at the town, we have our own asset management policy and asset management master plan that has both been reviewed and approved by council. An asset management master plan is made up by many plans and policies. To keep things simple, let's look at it in three sections: the who and why, the how, and the what, where, and when. The who and why, or the organizational strategic plan. This plan sets out the organization's high-level visions and missions and defines overreaching organizational objectives. For us, this comes from council decisions. The how. This is our asset management policy. This provides us with the top-down direction and also defines the key principles that underpin asset management. Another part to the how is the Asset Management Master Plan, or the SAMP. This SAMP translates stakeholder needs into asset management decision-making criteria. It also expands on how the asset management policy will be delivered throughout the asset management system. These decisions are usually made at EMT. And finally, our what, where, and when, our asset management plan, or our AMP. This sets out our specific lifecycle related activities for managing assets. This could be done over short, medium, or long term and includes consideration of asset condition, service expectations, timeliness, funding, and all other resource requirements. If we bring together the who and why, the organizational strategic plan, the how, the asset management policy and the asset management master plan, otherwise known as the SAMP, and the what, where, and when, the asset management plan. This allows us to align our strategies from top down and bottom up, which is called line of sight. So we've reviewed our asset management strategy. Let's review one important piece of that puzzle, our asset management policy. Our asset management policy is developed on 4 key strategic directions: create it, live it, preserve it, and afford it. Based on these 4 strategic directions, we were able to create our asset management principles. These principles are forward-looking and sustainable, robust, repeatable, and transparent, include risk, sound asset information, whole lifecycle cost perspective, and are always people-focused, both on customer and staff. Now that we've reviewed the asset management policy and the asset management master plan, let's take a couple seconds to see what we've learned. The Town of Oakville has an asset management policy that has been reviewed and approved by Council. Please select all the principles that apply to asset management. Now that we have a better understanding of what asset management is all about, why we should even do asset management in the first place, what type of assets we have around the town, and an overview of the town's asset management strategies and policies, you might be asking yourself, okay, so what is my role in asset management? Where does my job fit in? Well, regardless of job title or responsibility, if we keep these key asset management fundamentals in mind as we go around and do our day-to-day activities, we can help create an asset management culture here at the Town of Oakville. And culture is simply a shared way of doing something with passion. We already pride ourselves and have that passion for our day-to-day activities. That is the easy part. The more difficult part is bringing that all together. If we think of these puzzle pieces of our day-to-day activities here at the town, most times we complete our activities with little or no thought of the other activities required. Using good asset management principles, we can align these activities and ensure we can effectively and efficiently manage existing and new assets in order to deliver services to our citizens. Creating this culture will allow us to continue to develop strong asset management principles and practices. These principles and practices will continue to assist us with our overall goal to be the most livable town in Canada. As you can see, culture is a very important part of asset management. Let's see what we've learned. Who at the Town of Oakville is responsible for asset management?
Thank you for watching this introductory video on asset management. The town has a vision to be the most livable town in Canada. In order to do that, we have to deliver our services in innovative and outstanding ways, and they have to be services that are valued by our citizens. A key component to delivery of our services, of course, are the assets. The assets including this camera that's now recording this session, to a desktop unit that's on your desk, to a bus and to a bridge. We have a vast array of assets. They're worth in the billions of dollars. Of course, when you have such a large group of assets, you have to have a plan to manage those assets. And I have to tell you, at the Town of Oakville, we have an exciting plan. And as you go through the various videos, you will understand the key attributes of our plan, a plan which was approved by Council and endorsed by the executive management team at Oakville. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you for watching the Asset Management Awareness Educational video. Asset management is a series of processes and information improvements that enable you to see not only the likely consequences of the decisions you take today, but also of the actions you don't take.